Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're finally checking out the highly anticipated Alien Rogue Incursion. Now, I've completed this on the PlayStation VR2, and I've also jumped in for about an hour or so on the Steam VR version. Now, I will be doing this review a little bit different than normal today, because this game was definitely not what I was expecting. There are, of course, links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead to a specific topic, and if I fail to answer any questions about this game, please drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you. But let's just start things off with how this title was nowhere near my expectations. So for starters, this game is definitely not crap. This is not a repeat of the Walking Dead onslaught. Servios is back. This is a very solid game. The other second fear that a lot of us had was that this was going to be a roguelite because of some statements that Servios made during a press conference saying that you can enjoy this game in bite-sized pieces. But no, it's actually because this is part one of the game. They show this in the very beginning and I'm like, oh, that's the bite-sized pieces. This is not going to be the complete story in one title. Now, I would also like to point out though, even though this is going to be a multi-part game, it feels like a full experience. But at the same time, it also feels like Act 1 in a larger story. So this works. Don't look at it as a multi-part game. Oh crap, we're going to get 2 hours, have to wait 6 months for another 2 hours. Nope, that's not the case. So with all of that stuff being said and my expectations being blown out of the water, let me just describe how I'm going to do the rest of this video. I'm going to start off with the basic information, the stuff you need to know, price, the platform, etc. From there, we're going to go into the good and bad, what's solid about this game and where it actually disappointed, and then I'll show off some spoiler-free gameplay and end it with my overall opinion. Now, for those just looking for the basic information, Alien Rogue Incursion will be available on Thursday, December 19th for $39.99, releasing on both Steam VR and the PlayStation VR2. The MetaQuest owners have to wait until February of 2025, and while I didn't 100% track my time throughout this game, but it looks like the average playthrough will be roughly 7 hours. Now, there is some open world exploration, so that time can vary, and there's always the chance that you might get stuck on a little puzzle here or there. Now, in terms of gameplay, this is your basic story-driven first-person shooter. It's up there with Metro and Half-Life Alyx in terms of how it really plays out. It is linear to a degree. There are some open areas. You can go in any direction you want. You will be retracing the same area over and over, but in different paths, if that makes sense. Like, you'll need a key card to access one area, so they got to come back to it. And then you'll need a plasma torch to cut through a door, and then you'll come back to an area. So you can go in any direction you want, and it does reward exploration. You'll find extra ammo and stuff like that, but overall it's pretty linear. Now, moving into the good and bad aspects of this game, there's definitely a lot to mention. On the good side, the graphics are solid on both the PlayStation VR2 and a high-end PC, and the title does an amazing job of recreating not only the xenomorph, but also the desolate space station environments of the Alien franchise, with a notable focus on an authentic recreation of the lighting, sound effects, and overall atmosphere you would expect from that world. There's also a surprising amount of overall detail and some bonus features I didn't expect they would include. They went as far as making sure to include physics in this game, not to break the overall immersion. So your hands won't clip through things, you can knock stuff off the counter, basically everything you'd expect in a VR game. But where it goes a little bit further, like these little tiny things where when you holster the gun up against your shoulder, you can actually get it into the right spot where your aim becomes better. You kind of feel it lock in a little bit. And it's just this method of shooting in VR that I really haven't seen before and feels really good. It feels like you are locking the gun into your shoulder. You have to try it. You have to feel it to know what I'm talking about. There's a little gun sway too, a little physics on the weapon. Overall, it feels great. I was surprised there. They don't have to include that. It's just a little extra detail that makes the overall environment and the immersion top-notch. I also enjoyed the overall storyline. Without spoiling anything, I was getting attached to the major characters. There were definitely some unexpected twists and turns, and from both the gameplay mechanics and overall storyline, I was compelled to play through this game as fast as possible. There are, however, some issues with this game, and because of that, the game is just really good and not great. It feels like they were desperately trying to hit that holiday release window, and because of that, it lacks some polish. Every single interaction with the xenomorph is nearly perfect. The creature is absolutely terrifying. They'll occasionally sneak up on you in groups. They come from every angle, they're lethal, and again, they definitely do the franchise justice, but they also occasionally clip through walls. So when you're freaking out, looking left, right, up, down, wondering where they're coming from, and then you kind of see them through the wall, or they just suddenly materialize out of a vent, the immersion is momentarily broken. Now, something goofy also tends to occur when you kill aliens that are on the ceiling or walls. It's like someone flips a switch and gravity goes crazy. They might fall way too fast or just shoot across the room. Now, this is definitely not a deal breaker for the game, but it's absolutely an immersion breaker. And on the topic of lacking polish and immersion being broken, there was one absolutely fantastic scene in this game that was ruined for me. I won't show the scene because it's a spoiler, but during the scene, a weapon tooltip popped up, and right in front, blocking my vision, was the game telling me what buttons to press to use my item. These are the type of little things that could just absolutely kill the overall experience. And I'm sure if the developers were watching me play this game and saw that tooltip pop up, they would have cried. Now, everything else to complain about in this game is mostly little stuff. It's kind of like the title is one note in every aspect. Everything in it is good. None of it's great. Like, the pacing is good, but you don't feel like a ton of urgency, or for a while, it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. On top of that, you're really only fighting one main enemy, which is the alien, and while every single encounter is still really good, it's the same thing over and over and over again. There are a few separate examples, and there are some highlight moments, but they're few and far between. And in other titles, like Metro, you had a lot more holy crap moments way sooner in the game. So this is just like coasting at good throughout the entire experience. Now, with all of that said though, I still couldn't put down this game. I played it nonstop over the weekend and then jumped back in trying different difficulty levels to see what it actually impacts. The most notable aspect is aliens become way more spongy, and if you're playing on hard, you'll have to do your best to avoid encounters because you definitely won't have enough ammunition to take down all of the aliens. Now here I just want to show off a quick montage. Again, no spoilers. This will just be some basic combat, some early storytelling, and the puzzle system.
Won't leave Davis behind.
Now, before I get into my final verdict, I just want to compare this game to Alien Isolation. Now, if you're not familiar with that title, it's an older flat screen game set right around the same time as this title. They take place very close, and they both take place between the original Alien movie and Aliens. But this game plays very different than Alien Isolation. For the Alien fans out there, Alien Isolation is much closer to the movie Alien, and Alien Rogue Incursion is much closer to Alien. Basically, the original movie, you had one alien to worry about, even though that's not the case. You really had no way of fighting back. It was a lot more cat and mouse hiding. But Aliens, they go in there with Colonial Marines, which is the character you're playing in this game. You're a Colonial Marine, and you're going in there and you're shooting down tons of aliens. Your only concern is like running out of ammo or being ambushed. So that's what happens in this title. It's a lot more action oriented. Yes, you can avoid fights. Yes, there are ways that you could be smarter about your movement and how you go about the base to avoid fights, but no, you're going to be battling some aliens. So that's the basic difference. There's no hiding under the desk or putting yourself inside a locker. It's either run away to an area where the aliens can't chase you, don't accidentally trip off any alarms that ends up ringing the dinner bell for the aliens, and when everything else fails, just stand your ground. Okay, so here's my overall verdict on Alien Rogue Incursion. This is a really good game that could have been great. It's just short of being great because at the moment it lacks some polish that breaks immersion, and it's also kind of one note throughout. It's just good throughout. It rarely gets exceptional. There are a few holy crap moments, but we needed a few more of those. Additionally, when you're only fighting one enemy basically throughout the entire game, it does get very repetitive. So that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this experience still. Even with the repetition and a little lack of polish, I was compelled to play this. Sometimes when I'm doing reviews for this channel, it feels like it's becoming work. Like, oh, I gotta finish this game. Not here. I really wanted to finish this. I was absolutely pumped. I wanted to see where the storyline goes, and it left me wanting more. So overall, that's good. I just either expected this game to completely bomb, like The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Onslaught, or be exceptionally good, like up there beyond Metro. And it kind of fell in, you know, obviously higher up, but not as high as I expected. So good, not great, not disappointed, but also not fully satisfied. And that was today's video. Guys, if I forgot to answer any questions, drop them down below. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing.